We're coming to a close on our SpongeBob month. We've talked about history. We've talked about some really cool things. And we have talked about some things that didn't happen in this universe. But now it's time to play a game that we call...
What's in the box?
The bean holes, it's Eric and Nate, the bean holes, they're really pretty great, so shut up and listen to them talk. Eric and Nate.
All right, the rules of the game are we take turns pulling stuff out and then we talk about it.
And it's not going to be this box, but in a way it is about this box, because it's all about SpongeBob.
SpongeBox.
All right, I'm going first on this one. You can't keep me out of the box. There's one I hope you get in this. If I pull it, I'm going to be upset.
All right, don't pull it then.
Pull it. All right, I got Mr. Krabs.
Oh.
The greedy owner of the Krusty Krab.
Clancy Brown, is that it?
Clancy Brown voices him and does... he is one of my favorite voice actors on that whole show because the way he brings Mr. Krabs to life. Because how greedy this guy is... He's put himself in danger, his family in danger, everyone else in danger for the sake of a penny, but he's such a likable character. You know, and we all know shrewd businessmen, that you might have heard on like news or internet. This guy and Mr. Krabs is all of that boiled into one, but don't boil him because
he's a crab.
He's a crab.
And he'll be delicious. I'm going in, baby. All right, I have. Texas.
That's where Sandy Cheeks is from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So you just want me to talk about Texas. Is that what you were hoping?
Nope. But this is second best.
Okay, well, all right. So Texas, I actually saw something the other day that I really enjoyed. Had nothing to do with SpongeBob. It was a map of Texas, and it said we were asked to make a map of Texas showing all the gun ownership, and a red dot represents one gun owner, and it was just a solid red map of Texas.
Texas, a very one of our prouder states. The people who live there are very, very proud, and that's Sandy brings her Texas pride to the undersea world, and it's definitely it's never really seen other than a few like jokes here and there, but it's an important part of a character.
I'm realizing that unlike most of our What's in the Box episodes, this is just again going to be me pulling something out and Eric talking.
Well, that's why I threw in Texas and you brought up your story. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, go.
Yeah, don't steal my turn in the box.
I mean, I don't think it matters.
All right, this is a topical one here.
Okay.
This is heavy news material. Step aside, CNN. Sweet Victory.
Oh, yeah.
This is...
I mean, we're about a month too late, but...
Yeah, a month too late. This song, Sweet Victory, from the episode is actually a song from a music website that you can purchase.
Actually, here, I read one story, or one article that said... because that was the thing going around, that this was some stock music, some royalty-free music that they've just found and put in there. The last article I read on it said actually they were using some stock music, but didn't like it, and they actually found this or specifically commissioned it to be written or something like that.
Well, the artists, or you're saying
it is one of the very few songs in SpongeBob to not have been made by the people making the show.
Right. And the artists though have kind of cut different chunks up because I guess they do help make royalty-free music. So there is a site that you can actually go and purchase the license to use this song, in different types of this song too. But I
was looking for it. I couldn't find it.
I'll show you. I found it. But yeah, it is a big part of SpongeBob. That episode, by and large, has just always been said by fans to be the best episode of the show. And it really is. Every character gets a good joke. And it really is the first time I can remember Squidward having his moment. Because throughout the show, he's just kind of dumped on completely. And this was his chance to have a moment for him for everybody to kind of come together and show him support and give him that moment against his rival Squilliam Fancy Son, who's basically Squidward with a unibrow and fancier clothes. But yeah, and this song has transcended SpongeBob to the point that late last year, early this year, a petition was started at petition.org, change.org, to have Maroon 5, who has not been well received playing the halftime show at the Super Bowl, to have Maroon 5 play Sweet Victory in honor of Steven Hillenburg. It reached over 1 million signatures. It's pretty amazing that it got that far. And although Maroon 5 didn't play Sweet Victory, SpongeBob did get a nice little shout out thanks to I forgot the other guys. I know Big Boy was in the halftime show, but there's another.
Well, now I don't remember. I knew it too. Thanks a lot, Eric.
Yeah.
When someone else forgets, I also forget.
I know. As an artist, I appreciate that artist showing SpongeBob off at the halftime show, but it's a good song. Play the song.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I had no personal connection to it, but I think it was pretty lame how Maroon 5 and the NFL and everybody else really were almost
they was just
trolling the whole internet.
Yeah, there was constant little teases, like winks at the internet of, this song's gonna play. And I think even earlier that day, they'll test the sound systems. Like when I went to WrestleMania 29, Living Colour was actually in the stadium practicing Cult of Personality to play out CM Punk. So I guess earlier in the day, the Super Bowl, they were just playing Sweet Victory through the speakers, and everyone was like, "Oh man, they're actually going to play it." No, that was, yeah.
Well, I accidentally already pulled my thing out.
Oh!
David Hasselhoff.
Woo!
That's the one you wanted me to read, isn't it?
No, that's number
Well, you
3.
misspelled it.
I'll tell you, the one that I want you to pull is completely dumber than Texas and David Hasselhoff. But
great.
For me and SpongeBob fans, it'll be funny.
Well, David Hasselhoff, it's S-S-E-L.
Look.
But he does like to say, don't hassle the Hoff. And
Thank you. That's
all right. So, David Hasselhoff. Okay, first of all, again, having nothing to do with SpongeBob, one of my earliest heroes, as I was a small child watching Knight Rider, almost never, but once in a while, on TV.
Was Knight Rider before Baywatch?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Knight Rider is what made him the Hoff. Yeah. Talking Car, played by Mr. Feeney.
Kit.
Can't remember his real name.
Drive me around, Mr. Feeney.
But it is that guy. That actor was the voice.
Yeah, it was about he was like a cop or just a vigilante.
He worked for the Knight Foundation, I think.
Okay.
He was. I think he might have been a cop to begin with, but like in the pilot, he gets all like messed up. Like he's thought to be dead or something, and the Knight Foundation like gives him reconstructive surgery and puts him out there as like a James Bond type operative with a talking car.
Yeah, like I've never gotten into the show, but I know of Kit.
Well, you
I know
should.
All right, we'll watch it.
Do you know about Car? The bad Kit was like a better model.
I do know about that now. You're bringing it up.
But anyway, so definitely loved him for that. Didn't really enjoy Baywatch all that much.
But that was still a huge, massive hit.
Oh, absolutely.
Baywatch, if Knight Rider was the start of David Hasselhoff, I mean, that was the second biggest thing
in pop culture history.
He is just like the most well-known fictional lifeguard ever. I would even say probably second to Pamela Anderson's CJ from Baywatch.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know, but David Hasselhoff, very well known for Baywatch, was the first human that SpongeBob and Patrick interacted with in the first SpongeBob movie, in this big climactic moment in which they have to get back to Bikini Bottom from the pawn, or not pawn shop, but like a souvenir shop on the beach called Shell City. And they're like, how are we going to get back? And David Hasselhoff, I can take you there. And it's him running down the beach. saves the day.
Did they make it clear whether he was he a lifeguard there?
No, they said, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm David Hasselhoff." It's him.
Good.
And David Hasselhoff somehow has the ability to basically swim like a motorboat.
Well, everyone knows that.
Yeah. So, but they built this. One of my favorite things ever is that for the animators, they built a 30-foot long David Hasselhoff. With I remember watching the behind the scenes. They actually had yak hair as his fake hair, and so they could film it from a green screen and know where SpongeBob and Patrick are just for for the animators and whatnot. And I believe Hasselhoff had this thing for himself, and he ended up having an auction for a lot of his stuff. And if there's ever a movie prop I've wanted, the 30-foot David Hasselhoff from the SpongeBob movie.
All right, I'll keep that in mind.
Thank you.
I'm sure it's fallen into disrepair.
Let's not talk about that. All right, not the one. Oh, this is a good one. Patchy the Pirate. You probably have never seen this character because he is not a cartoon character, but he's actually a live-action pirate played by Tom Kenny, the voice of SpongeBob. And kind of, there's these special episodes where he's a pirate and he's introduced as SpongeBob's #1 fan, and his whole thing is he wants to meet SpongeBob. And he has a puppet parrot named Polly, or Potty as the accent that he has. And it's just kind of like these wraparound segments in between special episodes of him doing something or trying to meet SpongeBob, and he's popped up so many times, and he's actually a part of the Broadway show as well, trying to break in to watch the Broadway show.
Does he come on stage?
Yeah.
But trying to break in?
No, I need a seat. At first, he opens the show, spoilers, trying to get...
Yeah, if you were hoping to see it on Broadway...
He's trying to get a seat from people, and security comes on and kicks him off. He has a song right before the second half of the show about how horribly pirates are treated, and it's funny because he's I went to the pirate dive bar down the street and I brought some pirates with me, and it's a guy wearing the Pittsburgh Pirates baseball gear. It's one of my favorite characters from the show, and it's fun to have that kind of, when I was watching SpongeBob as a kid, having those special moments where his sections would come on, because it would happen irregularly, so it wasn't a regular part. Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
Steven Hillenburg.
I got nothing.
You got nothing?
Who is that?
Of course, the creator of SpongeBob, a well-known animator and marine life educator. That's all I got. He died.
He did unfortunately pass away
Spoiler
last
alert.
year. In case you were wanting to meet him. But a very humble individual, and just even there's stuff that I think about when it comes to him that we didn't cover in the history of. There was a girl there was a young girl or young boy who saved their younger sibling from choking with the Heimlich maneuver that they learned from SpongeBob. And so I can only imagine the joy he must feel reading a story like that. Something silly he created on television not only has brought joy to the world, but has also saved lives in certain ways. So I don't know. I know that man was very beloved by all his peers, and was a very humble individual. Was not somebody he wasn't a big public speaker. He didn't like talking about his stuff publicly very often, even in interviews and whatnot. He was a tough guy to get, but yeah, just super great individual, and that's why it was hard to see him go. But his legacy lives on in so many different ways. So,
all right,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Why did you put your hand up?
I was gonna dive in, and then I realized it wasn't my turn. Go ahead.
So you were just Sheldon J. Plankton.
I don't think I knew his middle initial. I may have heard his first name, but
yeah, that's when his hillbilly cousins come up to see him, and they called him Cousin Sheldon, and his computer wife just started like it was so hysterical to her that his name was Sheldon. Like he ended up unplugging her in that episode. But
I'm offended by that.
If my name was Sheldon, I would be.
I'm offended by unplugging your wife.
Don't we wish we all could?
I don't have a wife.
Neither do I.
So
Plankton, here's some education for you. Actual plankton are one of the backbones of the
entire ecosystem.
The entire ecosystem, because they are, plankton in the show is there's so many episodes based off on just like you're short, but he's still visible. Actual plankton, you cannot go to the ocean and look at. You have to look under a microscope. But if you've been to the beach, you've been in the ocean, you've probably have been touched by plankton in some way, shape, or form, because they're literally everywhere. And there's
all right.
Yeah. Does this bother you? Have you never been? You were just like
by plankton is just an interesting thought. Okay.
Yeah, you've rubbed up against some plankton.
Yeah, that's so much better phrasing.
Yeah, it is. But like that's what whales like. I think that's
yes. Well, yes, the whales that
have all the bristles.
Baleen.
Yeah, that's that's why they shoot out the water. They suck in all that plankton.
No, they don't shoot out the water.
They shoot it out. They got that hole.
They blow out air, and if they're near the surface, it brings a lot of water with it.
They like it.
All right.
That's how they live. Yeah, dig in the hole.
All right. Might not get through all these topics. The Flying Dutchman.
I don't know who that is.
You're a liar.
I am.
And I don't know who or what that is in SpongeBob. I do know what.
No, tell me what the Flying Dutchman is.
Well, as we all know from Pirates of the Caribbean, the Flying Dutchman is the ship that Davy Jones is the captain of. And he rides around doing things.
Yeah, he's on the surface a lot in those movies, even though he's not really supposed to.
Yeah.
It's like, buddy, don't you have a day job?
Well, wait, he's only in one movie.
He's in two.
Well, but he's not the captain of the Flying Dutchman in the second one.
What are you talking about? The second one, Dead Man's Chest, is where his ship does come up.
I thought that was the first one.
No, and then in the third one is when, at the end, spoiler warning.
No, I'm talking about the second one that he's in.
He is the captain, but the issue is the East Indian Trading Company have stolen his heart, and he's basically kind of at their control.
That's the first movie he's in.
No, he's not. That's Dead Man's Chest.
That's what you just said. Okay.
He's in. All right, so he's in Dead Man's Chest and At World's End.
And in At World's End, is he the captain of the Flying Dutchman?
Yes, until the very end.
Okay, so I got confused. That was a fun argument. Everybody.
It's Pirates of the Caribbean. It's a wonderful series. But yeah, it's a ship.
No one says Caribbean. At least no one around here says Caribbean if they're talking about the Caribbean.
The Caribbean.
Yeah, they say Caribbean.
Wow.
But if they say, but it's always Pirates of the Caribbean.
Wow.
And I have heard people say
Pirates of the Caribbean.
No, never heard anybody.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's weird.
But Caribbean cruises or Caribbean cruises, I've mostly heard Caribbean cruises.
So is Caribbean the actual like that is?
Dude, I don't know.
All right, well, come on. The Flying Dutchman in SpongeBob is the ghost of the Flying Dutchman. He's like a big green
Dutch man.
And
he flies underwater.
He does fly underwater. He is voiced by somebody you may know.
Eric Cormier.
I do not voice the Flying Dutchman. But he...
Brian Doyle Murray?
You got it. Did you know that?
I knew that he voiced somebody.
Oh wait, all right. To be fair, literally for the entire time I've known Nate, the answer to every question is Brian Doyle Murray.
Gotta get it right at least once.
And it's happened twice.
That's true.
Yeah. You were like, who's the mayor in Groundhog's Day? And it's like, or no, I asked that. I asked who the mayor of Groundhog's Day were, and you were like, Brian Doyle Murray. And I'm like, all right. All right. This is our swan song. We didn't get to the joke, and we did, but I pulled it out.
Well, then let me just see it.
All right.
Oh, boy.
Just read that name out loud.
Squidward tennis balls.
Ah, that's a joke.
Oh, God, that's...
There's an episode where everybody gets his last name wrong.
Was that one of them?
Yeah, that was the first one.
Okay, so you weren't even original.
He eventually gets a trophy that says Squidward Tortellini on it.
Fantastic.
I just ruined that joke for you. Now you're not going to laugh when you see
Squidward Tentacles, is that his real name?
Squidward Tentacles, SpongeBob's neighbor, and as we've said in the history, he is the Mr. Wilson, the SpongeBob's Dennis the Menace. He's the guy who he's there to be annoyed, but he never really goes out of it. I mean, Mr. Wilson, too, in a way, never really went out of his way to upset Dennis. It was just like, I'm doing my gardening and this kid's peeing in the bushes. Like,
nothing wrong with that.
I don't know. That's all I ever learned from going to Dairy Queen was that Dennis the Menace would like, you know, they had the wrap around for the ice cream cones. Like, it was just him
I've ever been to Dairy
peeing
Queen.
peeing in Mr. Wilson's bushes.
All right.
I like that on my ice cream, little cartoons. But
did we do?
What are you asking if we did a Dennis the Menace episode?
I know we talked about the two different versions of Dennis the Menace at some point for an extended period of time. Like the fact that there is a British version and an American version, and they came out like the same week or something, and neither one of them knew.
We might
about
have
the
talked
other.
about that when we did Roald Dahl, or somebody creating like children's properties in Britain.
I guess.
I don't know, but we
Great
probably
way to end our SpongeBob episode.
No, that's not how we're ending the SpongeBob episode.
This is a Bob-isode.
This is a Bob-isode. Squidward, as the older I've gotten, has easily become my favorite character because now I understand him, his crankiness, his rudeness to customers, his like, I gotta go to work. Like, I get that every day. So
yeah. I gotta say, the hallmark of or one of the greatest indicators of whether any kind of children's property is like really well made, whether it's a movie, TV show, whatever, is if the children identify with one set of characters, usually the kids, but if they identify with one set of characters, and adults completely like identify with the people that seem to be the bad guys in.
Yeah,
or an obstacle at least, whether it's the parents or the grumpy neighbor or whatever.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, because when I was younger watching SpongeBob, my stepdad, who would watch with me once in a while, completely loved Squidward. And I don't think I ever questioned it as a kid, like, why do you like that character? But then as I got older, I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
I am Squidward. I've turned into a Squidward. But anyway, this whole month has been kind of a build-up to another show I'm working on.
Yes.
Called I'm Ready, a SpongeBob Square... I messed up my own title. We're talking about SpongeBob. I'm Ready, a SpongePod Squarecast. Right now, I have first episode ready to go up March 1st, 2019. It will be available on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you have a...
It might take a while to be available on iTunes because they are weird about making things available soon enough. But they'll be on all other fine podcasting platforms, first and foremost on Anchor, which is our personal favorite and a thematically appropriate
Absolutely.
host.
And definitely the first episode I put out gives more of an introduction to myself as a fan, and into what the show is about. But essentially at its core, I'm just going to be sitting down like here with other guests like Nate, other friends, other people here at Euphonics, and just watching SpongeBob, getting their takes on it, giving you trivia, and just a celebration of Stephen Hillenburg's life and career and creation. So check that out if you are a fan of SpongeBob SquarePants. And thank you for joining us for this month. We'll see you next month. Keep on beanin'.
The Bean Holes.
Look it up.